Okay, so my name is Hadley, and before we get started with the talk, there's something I want to do. I want to get to know my audience here at home. So let's turn on the lights. Okay, hey guys. What we're going to do is I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions, and if you feel like you have an answer to one of these questions, you can raise your hand. I won't bite, so it's okay if you raise your hand. The thing is, I will call on one of you to say your answer out loud, so just be prepared for that, okay? All right, first question. What are some of your hobbies? Yes, what's your name? Say that again? Spencer? I love that name. Okay, what's one of your hobbies? Reading? All right, that's super cool. All right, Spencer likes to read. I love to read. All right, next question. What is something unique about you? Come on, you guys can raise your hands. Yes, what's your name?
Virginia.
Hi, Virginia. What's something unique about you?
I can ride a unicycle.
You can ride a That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Spencer likes reading, and Virginia can ride a unicycle. That is so cool. Okay, this is the last question. Last chance, guys. What was one good part about your day? Yes, what's your name? Chase. Hey, Chase. Okay, what was one good part about your day? Nice. All right, that's my favorite part about today, because I'm listening to you right now. All right, Chase likes to listen to other people's stories, Spencer likes reading, and Virginia can ride a unicycle. Wow, okay. All right, the lights can go off now. Now, why did I ask you those questions? Why did I get to know my audience not as a whole, but as individuals? Granted, I can't get to know all of you in 10 minutes, but what if I could? What if I got to know everyone in this room, in this school, in this community, and on a much deeper level than how I got to know you right now? What would that do? That's the same question I asked myself last October when I first began to study human connection. I knew that I wouldn't find my answer in a textbook or online, so what was the obvious solution? Meet people. Not a survey or a phone call or even FaceTime, but a real face-to-face conversation with awkward pauses, natural progression, and most importantly, eye contact. And this is what I came away with. What's your full name?
Emily Grace King.
What's the history behind, do you know the history behind your name?
Well, I got King because that's my dad's name. My parents just liked the name Emily. And my parents gave me the middle name Grace because that's what they wanted me to have in life.
If there was one thing about you that was just common knowledge about you, what would you want that to be?
That's a great question. I guess the common knowledge would be that family means the most to him.
Would you rather have your kids grow up smart or grow up kind?
Kind. Definitely kind.
Try to sum up your life in a sentence or less.
Oh my god. That might be it.
Just Caroline going, oh my god, read this.
It's not about me. My life encompasses other people. So it's not my life. The sooner people realize that the world isn't about you, it's about others, the better off they are.
Okay. Those were people, real people. And through those interviews, I learned their names, and not just their full name or professional title, but their real names, their real full names. I learned about their family, their friends, their favorite memories, what they were passionate about. And through each of those interviews, I slowly started to realize the actual weight of what I was doing, the psychological weight. When I started this process, I assumed that I would choose someone who I didn't know that much about or thought was interesting. I would schedule a time and place with them, sit down, go through the questions that I'd prepared beforehand, and maybe learn a cool new fact about them or two. Nothing big, just two people talking. But what I got was so much more. The very first person I recorded an interview with was Emily King, who was already somewhat familiar to me. I'd known her in choir. but she was new to our school this year and in a different grade, so I thought that it wouldn't hurt if I got to know her a little bit better. Remember back at the beginning of the video, she was explaining her middle name, Grace, because that's what her parents wanted her to have in life? Yeah, that was her. That was the very first question I asked her. I mean, the very first question of the very first interview, and I get a response like that. So in-depth, personal, and remarkably unique. Suddenly, Emily wasn't just someone I was interviewing anymore. She was Emily Grace King, and she was vibrant, and she was multidimensional, and she was sitting across from me at a coffee shop table, probably thinking to herself, ask me something else. And it was like magic. And like a starry-eyed little kid, I wanted to see some more. So I set off to meet some people who I wasn't previously familiar with. But as soon as I began to resume my research, I was met with a huge obstacle. And I wasn't too surprised to realize that it was coming from myself. The problem was that whenever I would set my sights on someone to interview, I oftentimes never even went up to talk to them. And when I did, it was awkward, choppy, and took a huge amount of courage. There was a period of time during my research that I wasn't making any progress at all. My parents asked me every day, have you done any progress on that TED Talk yet? And I said to my dad, no, sorry, I've got other homework, I've got other things to do. But I was really just procrastinating. And it was hard. I struggled. And I kept asking myself, why am I struggling? Why is this so much harder than I thought it would be? This is my fault. I now know that it was not my fault and that I actually wasn't alone in my struggle. It's called social paralysis. It's not social anxiety disorder, which is diagnosed by a doctor. No, social paralysis is an unofficial term created by me that refers to freezing up in unfamiliar social situations. Many of you probably have it. The fear that caused my social paralysis was the fear that the people I was asking to interview would think that I was weird, or worse, I would be completely rejected. So I had social paralysis. I mean, that was it, right? Just stop my interviews, admit that I couldn't get this talk done, and let down the people who supported me most. My talk was spineless without that human connection. I went to school the next day feeling completely defeated. But then someone opened the door for me, and I said thanks. And then I said good morning to my teacher. And then I started talking to the person whose locker was next to mine. And I stopped worrying because the magic was back. Just when I assumed that human connection could only be achieved through in-depth analyses was when I realized that human connection was everywhere, and my social paralysis was a much less obstacle than it had been before. Think about all the little interactions we have with people in a single day. You may say hello to the secretary when you come in the office door in the morning. You may ask your coworker how his day's been going over coffee. Even something as small as a smile and nod to the janitor can make you feel a little more tied down to earth. I found the magic in the most minute of interactions, and that massive mental wall that was keeping me from reaching out to people suddenly seemed much smaller than it had before. But why does it really matter? I mean, what's the real significance? Well, think of it this way. You're going into your office building, or perhaps school. You're trailing behind someone who's going in the front door. They walk in ahead of you, open the door, go in, and let the door close in your face as if they didn't even know you were there. It's irritating, isn't it? Especially, or even if that person is a total stranger, their obliviousness makes you feel unimportant, unaccounted for. That's what people feel when we do the same to them. The scary thing is, though, is that we have no way of knowing how deeply it will affect that person. Some people will understand the mistake, and they'll eventually shrug it off. But for those who are less emotionally secure, they feel as if it's one too many slaps to the face. It hurts, especially when the perpetrator's carelessness was a result of their attention being focused on something that they considered better, like a phone or their friend. Speaking as a teenager who has first-handedly felt this sort of unintentional social estrangement, it's surprisingly difficult to forget. Over time, instances like instances like these can chip away at someone's self-confidence and make them feel unimportant or irrelevant. Some people might even begin to think that it's their own fault. Well, I'm here to tell those people that it is most certainly not your fault. And to everyone who feels like they may be oblivious every once in a while, including me, don't worry. This is an easy problem to fix, much easier than you might think. First off, try to remember people's names. In Dale Carnegie's renowned self-help book, How to Make Friends and Influence People, he lists multiple micro-strategies on how to connect with people and make them feel important in your eyes. One of these strategies is to remember people's names and refer to them by their name as often as possible. You guys may be like, well, what if I'm not a name person? Trust me, I'm not either. But names are an important part of someone's personality as a whole, so it actually matters. In Carnegie's words, a person's name is, to that person, the sweetest and most important sound in any language. One of the best ways to solve this problem is by simple name-to-trait association. Spencer likes reading, Virginia can ride a unicycle, and Cole likes hearing people's stories. Your name's Cole, right? Wait, what? Oh my gosh. I'm working on it too, guys. The next one is to look people in the eyes. This one in particular doesn't apply just to strangers, but to everyone in your life. There's no word in the English language that can accurately describe the sensation of looking someone in the eyes. Even as a writer, the closest I can come to illustrating it is powerful or calming, and I doubt I'm doing it justice. Shakespeare probably came the closest, saying that the eyes are the windows to the soul. You always learn something new about a person when you look them in the eyes. And this is especially true if you maintain eye contact for a prolonged amount of time. But not too long, guys, because that's creepy. You may or may not remember a small movement in 2015 called Where's Human Interaction Gone? People from all over the world came together to share one silent minute of eye contact with each other, and the results were inspiring. Complete strangers found similarities in each other, and a strong sense of humanity was created. Oftentimes, eye contact can convey complicated emotions that we usually don't have the words for. This is key if you want to get to know someone in depth. Number 3 is probably one of the easiest but most influential things that you can do, and that is to just smile. This is also a point mentioned in How to Make Friends and Influence People. In Carnegie's words, smile in everything you do. After all, smiling costs you nothing. Whether you're faking it or not, it's contagious to the people around you, and even the very act of smiling can make you yourself feel happier. Smiling is proven to reduce depression, anxiety, and stress in yourself and others. There's nothing stopping you from smiling whenever you can, and there's nothing stopping you from smiling for others. With these 3 methods, we can begin to chip away at the invisible wall between us and others. When I look back on the past 6 months, I'm blown away by how far I've come. I started this process with my interviews, and I ended it having come away with the knowledge that has helped me open up to the people around me as a friend, a member of my family, and even as a complete stranger. I've had my fair share of human connection on all levels, and in every case, I felt the same magic that I felt on day 1 with Emily Grace King. So before I end this, there's one thing that I want you guys to do. I want you to look around. You know what's out there? People. Guys, it's people just like us. People with their own dreams, aspirations, goals, families, friends, memories, problems, lives. People like Spencer, who read every day. People like Virginia, who can ride a unicycle. And people like Chase, who really love to hear people's stories. They go through each day doing much of the same stuff that we do, and yet we often fail to stop and even recognize them. In a world where isolation is encouraged, and there's always something more exciting at your fingers, who's making us connect with other people? No one. But I'll tell you right here, right now, as someone who's still trying hard to make a change herself, to please be your own advocate. Break the wall between you and others. Once you've completed that obstacle, take on bigger things. Ask someone out for coffee. Carpool with someone new. Sit next to a person whose name you don't even know. Get to know people. See what that leads to. A friend, a best friend, a shoulder to cry on, a confidant, a partner, a spouse even. It seems difficult to imagine now, but I promise you, start with the little things and we'll get there. Deep, meaningful relationships will once again be attainable. It's all right there waiting for us. We just need to take the first step. Thank you.